I'd like to call the order of the Parks Board meeting for Monday, November the 15th of 2021. Mr. Perry, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who said that?
I did it for him.
Thank you. I was worried about who was going to do that. Do we have any citizens' comments that you know of, sir? Thank you, sir. We'll have a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Pike, second, Mr. Head. Any discussion? No? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Old business, park project updates, Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. Inline hockey rinks, paving will begin ASAP as soon as we can get the gravel situated. It's looking good out there. Maintenance will begin their winter project list. We've had a couple of preliminary discussions and things like that. Again, if you all see things that you think can be taken care of over the winter, please, as you go through the parks, give us a shout on that. We've got a lot of updates to signage throughout the parks that the staff has done a good job on. Trevor Cole and specifically has taken on that project, and we've updated things like speed limit signs and no parking signs and a lot of things in Sanders Ferry first. Now we're moving on to Drake's Creek, but again, if you all see things that could be updated, please let us know. And then throughout this week, you'll see a little paving project thanks to the Public Works and the Public Works Committee and the staff here, along with our maintenance staff that really set this up. Little paving project, the cut-through road between the Demos entrance and the entrance where you come in at the batting cage. It's in dire need of paving that whole strip, and it's going to get paved, so that's a good thing. Any questions?
Very well done, sir. Nasty Cup site plan, Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. On page 5 of your packet, this is the adult rugby hockey tournament that we have coming. I believe when we got this approved, they said if they were going to add alcohol sales to this event, we would come back to you all with the site plan. This is the site plan on page 5 that shows the red temporary fence will be around with 2 entrances and exits. Security will be at those entrances and exits, and it shows you where it will be sold in the red box there. Your motion, I would suggest that you, if you make a motion to approve this, I would suggest that you include that it must be approved by the beer board because it will go to them the first Thursday in December.
So if it goes to them, that's not the Thursday their tournament starts, is it?
No, sir, that's the Thursday before.
Questions on this before we start?
So if I just want to make sure I'm looking at this right, this encompasses the entire rink area, including the benches.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
So if 8 or 10 of these guys playing hockey want to have a beer while the game's going on the bench, they can sit there and drink.
That's the way the site plan is set up. You all are welcome to make a suggestion to modify that.
Do we know, I'm assuming the assumption is to be able to have beer sales for the attendees is the goal here. Does this encompass the bleachers seating area? It's hard for me to tell.
It would. I mean, the red fence is the perimeter of the whole project.
It's on the outside of the whole thing.
So anything underneath that cover is what you're looking at.
So there's nobody here from this tournament, correct, tonight?
No, I told them I would represent the site plan.
Okay. So since they've had other tournaments, what is their rules as far as do you know, as far as players being allowed to participate in alcohol while they're playing in the tournament? I mean,
It depends on where they are. I mean, St. Louis, it's anything goes. I think if they go down to Georgia, it's a lot stiffer. I think we are in a position where we get to set the rules at this point for something like this. It'd just be very hard to police within I think it's easy to police the perimeter of the rinks, the way it's set up.
so the location for beer sales to occur, which is the red box, that is technically not under the covered part of the rings. It's at the end of it or out in the grass area, or is that going to be under?
The asphalt road that's in there for emergency use butts up against the concrete of the project, or the asphalt of the project.
Do I hear a motion to approve this, or
what's the, I can't remember what the rule for security is. What's the security going to be for this event? Is it based on attendance?
You have to have 2 for every 1,000. We'll be well short of that. If they have a person at both of those gates, they will easily.
So that's what we're looking at for security, is there'll be somebody at each entrance exit.
Correct.
I know, Andy, we were, concerned at a previous meeting of just the tightness of timetable in terms of the facility. There's no delays to be aware of. This asphalt is going to be there, like everything almost is going to be completed literally within days of when this tournament is.
I'm not going to promise anything
Well, I know that,
about
but-
the project today.
As far as what is scheduled.
I mean, yeah, the intention is for it to be done, yes.
Okay. But there's been no change to that since the last time we
No,
talked.
sir.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Will this be the security, is it, they've hired, is it police from here or
It'd be,
private?
I would be private security or off-duty police officers.
Thank you.
I would say I could make a motion to approve with the understanding that if delays in the project change the layout, that Andy and your staff, you could make the necessary adjustments so that there are still only 2, one entrance and exit, or 2 entrance and exits to the facility. So if it deviates from the site plan based on the project, a huge weather delay or materials or whatever. So I could make a motion to approve with giving you the authority to amend it based on the site preparation without having to come back. And approval of the beer board. Sorry. You want me to say that again?
No, I think I'm good. I'm going to read back what I wrote, how I interpreted. Motion to approve site plan. If delays change layout, staff would work with group to accommodate new site plan, and approval of the beer board. Just for point of information, too, that there is already fence up around that entire project. So they've worked with the contractor to leave that fence up when the tournament starts and create the gates. So that it's not like they're having to bring in, it's already there. So it's just a matter of figuring out where the ins and outs will be.
Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Perry, second.
So you're talking about the silver fencing that's up?
Correct.
Any more discussion before we vote on this?
Well, before we go down that road, there are several places in that silver fencing, if they're going to use it, they don't need to use the parts that have gates.
Right, they'll have to move where the gates are now.
Right.
Because they're not in exact places, but they'll have to lock up whatever gates are there.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. White's an abstention.
Nathan abstained.
So noted. Yeah, let's take roll, that'd be good. Mr. Head? Mr. White? Ms. Golden? Mr. Frank? Mr. Perry? Mr. Perry? Mr. Perry? All right, it passes with one abstention. Okay.
I do think it'd be wise at some point to have, I don't know how this works in a broader conversation perhaps about alcohol and so we're consistent. It does seem to give, the board a little bit of concern. It seems to, whenever these come up, and it seems like we're having, many conversations within each event. And so maybe it might be wise for us to have a broader discussion on what we do want to see and don't want to see. That it's adults, that it's security, that it's not going to, has nothing to do with youth events, it's nowhere near youth events, things like that. I don't know what that might be, but it does seem to be something of a theme with the board.
In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about alcohol anyway, but we're not living in a perfect world. And the world's changing, so looks like we're going to have to change with it, at least with some reservations anyway, so.
So how many teams are in it, Andy?
I believe they have around 60.
60? So how many games a day is that?
They're playing starting at 9 in the morning and going till 8 at night, I think, is the last start
Right.
time on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And it ends Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the length of the game, an hour?
I believe so.
My mama would roll over in her grave. All right, under new business, SPA Twitty Senior Men's Softball NIT, Mr. Graham, Mr. Ratcliffe.
I believe they're on Zoom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is Bob Graham. We appreciate y'all listening to us this evening. We, SPA, or Softball Players Association, had a long-standing tournament on the second weekend of May each year, and it's been a really good tournament for senior women. This year, we had a conflict arise with the senior games for women, the National Senior Women's Games, which includes all sports, not just softball. But it kind of took away from the attendance projections for the tournament. So what we're asking to do is to add a date in July 28th through the 31st. That's the new weekend that we've applied for. We would like to keep the old date, keep the May, second weekend in May date. The purpose for that, what our plan would be is we'll hold a senior men's tournament in place of the senior women's tournament on that weekend. Should have equal or greater attendance as what we've seen in the past, and it'll be without conflict. The application that I think we're looking to talk to tonight is the request for the new weekend in July, which would be July 28th through the 31st. And that would be the women's NIT. We call it our Twitty National Invitational Tournament each year. Both of these tournaments would be National Invitational with the Twitty name associated with them. And the first in May would be for the men. Second one in July would be for the women. That way we're without conflict. That's really what we're looking for here tonight.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak to that?
Yes, sir.
So we've already accommodated the women's event since we moved it this year already. That date in July is is good by our staff. It's a recurring event. We just moved the date. This is a new event, the men's event, and this is why you got this approval here. So, Mr. Graham, we're really approving the men's tournament, even though it's in May. You're all good, and you're all good in July, since the women's tournament has been here for many years. But we wanted to get the Parks Board's approval for this men's event, since it's a new event.
Great. Thanks for clarifying it.
Yes, sir.
First and foremost, my condolences to your Sooners. Sorry about that, man.
I guess you can see on the wall behind me, that one's near and dear to me. I was a Sooner in 1969, played there myself.
I had no idea you had anything to do with Oklahoma, I'm telling you. Any questions before we start?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe the same thing. I noticed on the application, there's a few things that haven't been completed. For example, on the financials, one of the acknowledgements as far as donation or something like that was not answered. And then, of course, there wasn't an indication of any of those, being a for-profit event, our general, to be consistent, we've generally asked organizations to partner with a local nonprofit or some type to make a donation of some sort. And that's not indicated in here. Is there any, can you provide any information on that for us?
We have traditionally provided a scholarship
Okay.
at the tournament. It's a cash scholarship to one of the local schools. We've not discussed it for this year, but it's been our tradition.
What's his name? Okay, any more questions before we start? Yes, sir.
Yes, is there a fee, you don't have it answered, is there a fee being, I saw you're not charging a gate, but are you charging a registration fee, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir. Let me look, the entry fee be $425 a team to enter the tournament. And, but we do not charge a gate. Also, because we're seniors, we don't generally play at night. So our play will begin early in the morning, and we won't start games after 5 o'clock in the evening. Now, having said that, I always have to put the caveat in, should we have bad weather or something that can push things around and make it ugly, but we try our best not to play at night.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Head, Mr. Pike, second.
If I could amend, just that the charitable donation is coordinated through the Parks Department, if you'd be agreeable to that.
I agree.
State it again, Jim.
Motion to approve that the charitable donation goes through the Parks Department.
We got a motion and a second. Mr. Pike, the second. Any more discussion on this? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstention? Nope. Thank you, young man. Go get them, Sooners.
Thank you, sir. Just one other comment. We've changed hands recently, and our new owner, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Ridge Hooks passed away. We have a new owner, and that's Kelly Ratcliffe, and he's also on the phone with us as well today.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys for bringing this event to Hendersonville, along with the women's tournament every year. It's one of the longest running events that we have, so thank you.
Well, our goal is to make the men's Twitty, get it back to where it was when I was a young man and played the game. I always loved coming to Hendersonville, and hopefully we can rejuvenate that interest in the old guys game.
Well done. Okay. All right, sir, thank you. By the way, I never liked Nebraska at all either, so if that makes you feel better.
What about Ohio State? You got anything for Ohio State?
Cut that off. I'll move to have that stricken from the records. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. See y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rotary Club Gold Star Plaque, Mr. Mooney. State your name for the record, sir.
Good evening, Dave Mooney from the Hendersonville Rotary Club. And before we get started, I want to say, go blue, beat Ohio State, okay? I'm being a Michigan grad, okay?
Football theme.
Let's go for that. And also, before I start the Rotary, I would like to thank the Parks Department on behalf of the Veterans Day Parade for all their support that they gave to the parade with getting the stands out and the bleachers and the stage and the microphone and the 4 or 5 entries that they had that participated in the parade helped make it a really great day for the veterans here in Sumner County. So back to why I'm here. I'm Dave Mooney from the Hendersonville Morning Rotary Club. And we've come up with a project to install a plaque to honor the Gold Star families. Now, Gold Star families are those families that have lost a family member on active duty or particularly in a wartime situation. And we propose to install this plaque in Memorial Park in a space about halfway between where the first responders memorial is and the memorial fountain. If you're looking at that stated fountain, it's off to the right there a little bit. This project would be funded entirely by the Hendersonville Rotary Club, and it has to be done in coordination with the local garden club. They own the rights to the plaque, and so they're part of the effort to install this particular plaque. It'll be a very nice plaque. It's about 41 by 45 inches in size and stands 7 feet tall, thereabouts. Anyway, we're asking permission to move forward to purchase the plaque. Well, to purchase the plaque, we need your permission to use the park as a place to install this. And then sometime, it'd take about 3 months to get the plaque in after we order, which I figure at this point with all the holidays coming up, we're probably not going to get around to much before early January, which would give us the plaque sometime in the springtime, which we would then have a dedication ceremony in the park to dedicate the plaque, inviting the Gold Star families in Sumner County and to participate and to recognize all the other veterans and the community support for this event. So that's our request tonight, is permission to install the plaque. I think you have the pictures that my handy dandy scratching is made to show where it is and what the plaque will look like. And if you have the plaque where it says, I think it has the Gallatin on it, et cetera, we're going to propose that when we order a plaque, that be changed to the city of Hendersonville and the Rotary Club at the bottom there. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you have at this point.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Head's motion to approve. Mr. White, Mr. White, you got to jump in there, Mr. Gold. Mr. White, say, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Nope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Vote on the financial reporting dates. Mr. Gillies, an important man tonight.
Okay, as part of the new athletic handbook that goes into effect January 1, we need you all to vote to approve when the annual reports will be. We've met with all the clubs, all of them with the exception of Tennessee United are good with going in January with their annual report. Tennessee United would like to go in July with their annual report. One of the changes made in the handbook was that groups would go back to reporting quarterly financials and then would appear before you all annually. So we're asking you all tonight to make a motion to put in black and white when these folks have to appear before us annually.
Will the motion need to read like that as far as the dates for the?
It would just need to say a motion for all groups to make their annual financial report in January, with the exception of Tennessee United. Sorry, I was looking for it. Page 19 is where we are in the packet.
Gotcha.
So are dates set for quarterly, or do we set that as well?
Well, quarterly would be starting at the beginning of the calendar year, so we'll go every 3 months.
So we're going to go like March. So will they report in March, or will they report in April for the first three?
The first quarter report will be in March, every 3 months,
Is it end of March or
the end of March.
end of March?
If we were meeting at the beginning of March, I'd say be 1st of April, but
Good enough. Give you a minute to question. Yes, sir.
And Andy, there's an end of year report, is that also correct?
I believe by the new handbook, it will be quarterly and annual. The annual report is when they have to come in person.
So I'll make the motion that all groups report annually in January for the previous year, with the exception of Tennessee United, which must report in July of that year that coincides with January.
Mr. Head made the motion. Mr. Golden second. I've overruled the second twice now, so. Any more questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Mr. Golden was second, Mr. Head was first. I got you in there, Mr. Golden. Don't worry about it. We're good. Special events list, I'm sure we can look that over. Anybody have any questions about that? Didn't think so. Civic Group October financials. I think we have those as a separate thing over here. You need a second to look that over? Guess not. Okay, all right. Discipline reports. I was not happy to see that, but, how is the discipline things working?
Overall, so last year we amped up, or we kind of revamped how we did in all our open leagues, our high school leagues, with adding a third official for any games that we can. We've been able to do that and staff that, as well as adding a second supervisor at most sites. Am I getting feedback? Check 1, 2. Oh, there you go. All right. So, yes and no. We have another issue that will be in next month that we're dealing with right now, getting all the reports. Yeah. I mean, sadly, there's just happens, and I would say that I'm more in a weird way glad that it happened on the front end. I mean, we're just now in our second week of play, so now I've had something happen in both divisions, and so I hope that this sets a precedent, and that all these guys talk. They're all go to school together. Us laying down, or us moving forward with the punishments that we have, I hope that they talk to their friends and realize that we take it seriously, and that the coaches take it seriously too, and we move forward.
I'm gonna ask I'm an old guy, so I can ask stupid questions, but age-wise, is there a big difference?
It's most of the, I mean, at least this year, it's been like the sophomores, like 15-year-old.
Okay. All right.
And a lot of it's external stuff too. So that could be, I mean, again, because the way that these teams, the league has grown and it's awesome, but these kids, like, they love it. They love this basketball league. Like, they create Instagram pages, Facebook pages, TikTok pages of their team, like with rosters and jerseys. I mean, if y'all came out and saw the jerseys that some of these kids have created, it's awesome. it almost looks like, but they know that they're not good. So they're not taking it that serious, but the jerseys are awesome. It reminds me of intramurals in college.
I'm that way.
Question.
I'm that way at kickball. So.
A question, wait, is it because, the report that's in this month, is it because this individual is a minor? Is that why the name is redacted?
Correct.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Because otherwise, if it's an adult, we would include that as a
Correct.
record.
Ever since we went to 3 officials in our adult league, that has not. Completely alleviated that. I say that, but I've gone through 3 seasons now with our adult league being that way, and that's really helped alleviate any issues in that league.
Okay, thank you.
So
Still hate to see those words on the thing. Okay, staff reports. Ms. Hamlin?
Good evening. Coming up will be our Raptors Basketball. We will definitely be having the Raptors Basketball. I've been asked to continue to have the winter fun games that we had, but in talking with Andy, we're not 100% sure we're going to pull that off with staff and everything, so I'm still working on that. Basketball registration will begin November 29th and run through January 5th, and then we'll start the season right after that. It'll run January and through middle of February, end of February. Breakfast with Santa is coming up. Registration is open now. It's on December the 11th. This is sponsored by the Parks Department in Hendersonville, Civitan. It is totally free. We have 3 different sessions. They can sign up from 8:30 to 9:15, 9:30 to 10:15, or 10:30 to 11:15. I think we limited to 40 per session as far as the children attending, and then parents can attend with them. They will receive a small prize from Santa, breakfast, biscuit, and drink, and get to visit with the Grinch and St. Nick himself. And then our special visit with Santa with special friends is tentatively scheduled for Monday, December 13th. I got to confirm with Santa that he's going to be able to be here at City Hall, and this is for our special needs friends or those who need a more relaxed environment to be able to enjoy that, or for those that are older that parents don't feel like it's appropriate to take them to the regular things that are offered. This is also free and is sponsored by the Hendersonville Civitan Club in the Parks, and that will begin at 5:45. Any questions? Nope. Thank you very much.
Ms. Hamlin, one question I do have of you, I probably shouldn't ask, but I'm going to anyway because I'm old. If there is anything that is budgeted for that, for the special needs, I have a special group that I'd like for you to go to if I can do that, if you have anything budgeted. All right, Recreation Coordinator, Mr. Evans.
All right, so we did start our high school league and our men's league basketball. I say men's, I say adult open. We actually have a team that do have a couple female players. So, but we started play last week. There are currently there's 3 teams out of our 24 that are not playing because they're 100% of the roster are either Beach or Hendersonville football players. So that will kind of be alleviated this weekend, which is awesome. They're going to be playing each other. But Pope is also in the playoffs too, but they don't have, their football team doesn't have a team in our league. Besides that, I feel like that's what Dallas and I are constantly talking about is either gym availability, game schedules. But Greg with the HOA has been really helpful. I said we've got good supervisors. We're trying to bring on a couple more, and really just getting ready for. We won't play next week, and then we'll play pretty much all of December up until Christmas break. So, basketball. That's it, really. And then all the random special events that we have for Christmas and everything. So.
Have we heard any more about pickleball?
Yes, they've been playing on Tuesday and Thursday nights over at the park, over the tennis courts, and then the last 2 Sundays, or actually this past Sunday was the first Sunday that they were at Jack Anderson in the afternoon. So,
Is there any push to a permanent place for it, or can you answer that, Mr. Gilly?
I can speak to that.
Yes, sir.
There is certainly talks and things in the works that are not ready to be made public yet.
Under the cloak of darkness.
No, not under the cloak of darkness, but Just don't want to give out information until we have all the facts.
Darkness is my best light, so that's okay, no problem. All right, thank you, Ms. Devon. Special events staff report, special events, Mr. Gilly, I bet.
I can do some of it. I'll just save it for my report. How about that?
Good enough. Parks Maintenance Superintendent, Mr. Granat.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I'd like to say thank you to my staff for the great weekend, the weekend of November 6th and 7th. That was a huge weekend in the park, and they stepped up in a huge way, and I was proud of them, and I just wanted to say that out loud, what a great job they did. Last meeting, we talked about some rogue parking going on at the Trailhead restroom at soccer times. Since then, we've gone back and put in about 35 bollards around the building and some other areas to restrict some of that parking. And today we went back and put some more security lights on the building to light that area up a little better. Andy and I went back there and met last week also, and I think we're going to add some handicap parking spots there next to the building. That way it will allow some parking there, but we can hopefully by signage restrict some access there. We're hoping that works by making a handicap. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll have that finished up before spring when everything gets started. So just want to let y'all know that I do listen to what y'all bring up, and we did address that over the last week or two. We started removing soccer goals today. Got all of those off except for the few that are remaining. I think Dallas said after Thanksgiving we'll be finishing up getting soccer shut down. Started a bollard project back at Back Soccer parking lot today. That'll be kind of our first winter list project that we're working on this year. So you'll see some stuff going on back there the rest of the week. V3 renovations, everything that we are doing with the city, which was the infield renovations, everything we were going to do is finished for now. We will wait and put safe coat and conditioner on maybe 2 weeks before season gets started. It just lasts longer that way instead of letting it get rained on all winter. I talked to Troy. He's the gentleman with Beach that's putting together the project over there. They are waiting for the concrete subcontractor, and they've got some concrete to pour, and then once they get done with that, I think his progress, you'll start seeing some stuff happening over there. He's just getting slow rolled by concrete, which I can tell you I have been too. That's kind of an ongoing problem right now. Ryegrass seed is all down. We've watered it some the last couple of weeks just because we haven't had a lot of rain. We'll keep putting some water to it over the next week or two, and then you'll see we'll be winterizing irrigation, and we'll just let Mother Nature water it for the rest of the year. Started winterizing today. Water fountains will start on restrooms. You'll start seeing some restrooms closing up this week and next. So hopefully by after the week of Thanksgiving, we should have everything closed that we're going to close for the winter. And that'll all be posted on social media. I think that's everything I've got. If anybody's got any questions.
Sterling job, Mr. Granat. Questions? Assistant Park Director, Mr. Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rec soccer is now done for this season. They finished up a couple of weeks ago. Tennessee United still has a few teams out there practicing. They'll be out there through the remainder of this month. As Jeremy mentioned, we've begun shutting down some of the fields today. The adult soccer league will finish up Wednesday night, and then they'll be done for the fall. Flag football finished up this past weekend. Tackle football, the season's done, but they still have a couple of select teams that are out practicing, and they'll be heading to Gatlinburg this weekend for a big tournament. And then this weekend's also the big state championship for rugby. We'll have a bunch of teams in town for that. So that's about all I got.
Very nice. Questions? Thank you, Ms. Long. You want to combine yours and Mr. Bruce, Mr. Gilly?
I can. Mr. Bruce is a little under the weather today, so he's not here. If he was, he would tell you that basketball practices have begun. Everything's going well at this point. We've got 20 more teams than we had last year in the youth league that Civitan runs. I don't know how they do it. They do a great job, and Keith helps them the best he can at this point, and it's a big league. So we're about as using every inch of gym space and every gym supervisor we can hire, and we'll see how it goes. He would probably also say that senior men are not practicing right now, but they'll probably be practicing softball next week if the weather allows. And then for my report, I would say, as Jeremy said, November 6th weekend was a big one in the parks. We had a lot going on. We had a huge barbecue festival, a dinner and concert at nighttime. We had a rugby tournament going on. We had flag football, tackle football, a softball tournament with teams from all over the country. It was a huge weekend, and everybody from the office to the maintenance handled it the best way possible. You'll see some highlight videos and things coming out over the next couple of days on our social media. It just turned out to be a great day, and hopefully they'll turn into an annual event with the barbecue festival. We'll be able to announce within the next month or so how much money was raised for Christmas for Kids and Mary's Playground. So it was a good day. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of the tree lighting, citywide tree lighting and Christmas parade will be on December 5th, all in one day. Parade starts at 1. Tree lighting is immediately followed. And then the Festival of Lights will begin that night, where you can drive through the park and drive around town. We'll have the map published of the best houses. Hopefully tomorrow we'll begin accepting applications for that on our social media. I know Dallas and Wade are really excited about that, getting going, and they miss Andrea more than ever at this point. The boat parade will be at Mallard Point Park and Sanders Ferry Park on December 11th. That is a great annual event if you've never been to that. Want to make sure that you all have down our next Parks Board meeting is a little different date. It's December 20th. It may not be that different of a date. Is that the fourth Monday? Third Monday, so it's December 20th.
I'll ask you about that.
Also, just to let you know, we did have a meeting with all our leagues to go over the new handbook and all the things that were put in place there. There's one group we have not met with. We'll get with them individually, but, oh, you're good. So we have met with everybody at this point, and so far everybody understands all the new policies that are in place, and we've had good discussion with everyone on that. We'll be making job offer soon on the special event supervisor position. We're also going to be hiring here within the next few weeks a new administrative assistant. Miss Jenny is taking a job in the private sector and will be leaving us. So that is a great thing for her and a really bad thing for us. So we will miss her, and her last day is next week. If you want to get by and see her before she goes, I'm sure she would appreciate it. And then I wanted to let you know too, I'll be sending you all a copy of the, we had a gentleman come in from North Carolina that was suggested to us by the golf management group to give us an evaluation on all our irrigation in Drakes Creek Park. So he went all the way from football all the way back to soccer, kind of assessed what we have, gave us some ideas of how we could fix some things. It was a really good thing for us to have so that we can take that to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and kind of show them some things that are probably past needed. To make a long story short, we need a major overhaul when it comes to irrigation. Most of that stuff is over 30 years old. The Civitan baseball quad specifically doesn't even have irrigation. Front soccer is not properly irrigated. Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I think I said that. We don't have a filter on our pumps, so we get sediment and leaves and things in there, which causes things to be in disrepair. So it's all a matter of money, honestly. All we can do is kind of say, here's where we are and here's some options. So that it was good to have him out to confirm some things we thought we knew, but we're not irrigation specialists. So that, Mr. Chairman, is all I have.
I wonder what, with the November things that are happening, I wonder what the financial impact is around this area as far as people. If people don't understand that, then they're nuts, I'm telling them.
The economic impact of what goes on in the parks is in the millions. There's no question.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. So, all right. And in this round table, Mr. Head.
So I got a question, Andy. Now that we put the inline hockey ring over there in the cover, the two lights in the middle of the field. Is there any way to rearrange that light on the existing post to help light that soccer and flag football field even up, since most of that light is on that one side shining down on just a roof?
I think that is a possibility. That's all I can tell you for 100% certain is I think that's a possibility to re-angle those, I guess would be turn them around for lack of a better word, but I'm not 100% certain. And I'm also going to make sure we keep in the project list to actually add the correct poles to the other side.
And then the other thing, just to follow up with what you and Jeremy said about November 6th and 7th, as much as we had going on that weekend, there was not a hiccup in the park. I spent the whole weekend in the park running all the concessions, and it was not a problem one. There was never a trash can overflowing, never an issue in the restrooms, and that's a monumental feat in a regular tournament. When you got all that going on, it was even huger.
That's why we're who we are. Mr. White?
The one thing that I'd like that Mr. Golden brought up about the alcohol, and just to kind of clarify where I'm coming from, and kind of, I like his idea. Maybe we do need to have a get together, a workshop or something to discuss so we can all get on the same page. And because we started talking about this, and when we first were doing it, it was like, well, there would be events like the Arts Council might want to have beer and wine at an event or something. Of late, these events have crept into our athletic facilities. And I said at the last one, I think that's kind of a Pandora's box thing that we need to, maybe we can't do anything about it. I understand. I don't have a problem with somebody having a beer, a glass of wine. I just have my concerns and reservations when we're talking about athletic facilities. And then those same facilities have youth events. And I know we have people and organizations come in from other states that it's more used to having situations like that at their youth events. And that's where my concerns come in, is just if we're going to do that, and I know we have a case by case where we can vote those down, but I just wanted to, my concerns are that it's kind of crept into that side of it a little bit, so.
By the way, my dad used to have, my dad had a saying, you should never say that it'll probably be all right. You need to, I think we need to, I don't know what to do about it. I'm on exactly the same page you are, but I just want us to keep from getting to the point where we say, well, it'll probably be all right, and then get hung. And the more questions like what you're asking, the better off we are. So I think, Mr. Golden, Mr. Frank.
Yeah, just want to congratulate a couple of folks, but particularly to the Parks Board, the Parks staff and so forth. Hosting the cross-country meets this year, lots of people came in from all over the place to run at Sanders Ferry. And like Mr. Head said, nothing but compliments. So not only the facility, but also the foresight to keep that up. So thank you for that. Also, some local teams in the headlines, as Mr. Evans mentioned. We got some local folks kind of going deep into the playoff run, so good luck to those teams. And a little shout out to my own Merrill Hyde Magnet School Hawks, state champions. So you brought a little more hardware back to the city. So it's always good when our local kids succeed and put us on the map. So congrats to all those. Good luck to both Beach and Hendersonville. It can't end in a tie. So whichever team scores the most points has the best chance to win.
Good enough. Let me write that down. Mr. Pike? No?
No. I'm
That's
not going to say
exciting.
nothing tonight.
Mr. Perry?
This is my favorite, one of my favorite holidays coming up, just because I'm rather large. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you all. Staff, you guys are awesome. Best parks board in the world, best parks department. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you, bud. I've talked to a couple of guys on the board. I hadn't run this by Andy, so he can choke me if he wants to, but that's all right. One of the, in all the years I've been on the Parks Board, I've seen some pretty spectacular things, but the thing at Saunders Ferry Park, the bass tournament down there, the way they pulled that off, the entrance and all of the signage, one of the things that struck me when we left was the little bitty Saunders Ferry Park sign, this big. And I think we should look at getting a more prestigious sign. Are we bound by the Corps in any way with that?
We're bound only by the pocketbook.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just want to bring it up because either maybe trying to get it in the budget or some general fund or something, but I don't know. I'm sure that people that were coming from miles around kind of looked at that little sign and with all the other signs we've got in the park. So.
Are you meaning the one before you turn into the park, or the
Yes,
one
sir. Yes, sir.
when you go off of Sanders Ferry and turn left, that sign, or the
Yes.
one after you go all the way down in there?
The one at the road, that one's Saunders Ferry.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
And it's Saunders Ferry, not
Yeah.
Sanders Ferry, Saunders Ferry. It is pathetic, and I don't know, I don't know cost-wise what those are, but I'd like to look into some sort of maybe look into seeing what a representative sign might cost us, and maybe start trying to move toward that. Yes, Mr. Miller.
I think the only thing I would add is that sign out there on the road, we probably would have to look at getting some permission to put anything
That's what
bigger
I'm
there.
saying, yeah.
I think we could do anything we really wanted to as long as the budget allowed us once you get into the park.
Mm-hmm.
But I think out by the road, that's probably something that we will have to do a little investigating into.
I just wanted to kind of get it
I
rolling.
don't disagree with what you're saying.
I just wanted to get it rolling, and I know that once I noticed that when they had that bass tournament, now every time I go, and I live across the street from that park, so every time I go by, I look at it and go one of the raspberries. So, all righty, I need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Pike, second, Mr. Golden. All in favor, say aye. That's all you're gonna get, Mr. Golden. All in favor, say aye. All opposed.